When I was 8 years old, I visited the Solomon Islands for the first time. It's where my family's from, and there's a lot of strangely intricate details about the place that I still remember, including the abundance of fish and kumara chip shops on the block, betel nut spit on the concrete, and the pungent smell of cigarette smoke around the crowded parts of the main town, which I would learn a decade and a half later the smoke from wasn't just cigarettes. On an island called Munda, at my grandparents' house, there's this side area that surrounded this small pond that you could swim in called an iriri. There was a wharf and a cabbage load of greenery around it, a small wooden bridge connecting two areas. There aren't any images that I can find online of it, and if I have any around, they're probably sitting on an old hard drive somewhere. This is the one image that I do have on hand. Yes, the frame is broken. It fell off the wall about a week ago, but it's almost symbolic. When I returned to Munda in 2013, 5 years later, the place looked almost completely different. I could still recognize where the iriri and the wharf was, even the small wooden bridge, but a lot of the vegetation had been cut, the shape of the iriri itself. There was even a building in construction next to it, which I cannot remember for the life of me whether it was a house that was being rebuilt or the space was completely new. Pretty much the entire atmosphere had changed, not in a bad way, but there was certainly a wistful realization that everything changes over time and can leave some of your most cherished memories behind. So all I have to remember this space with is my adolescent memory, and for most, memory is only ever a vague outline of the real thing. Shye's new EP takes the form of memory in a rather outstanding manner, each track bringing back the effervescence of childhood freedom and the willingness to explore with the glistening sounds of glockenspiel, piano, glockenspiel. To be honest, I just like saying the word glockenspiel. I bet that one's in Buffalo Staples' notebook. Woolgatherer's Pond has its own concept on the Bandcamp page, but the beauty of it is so surprisingly vast that its exploration of adolescent memories can connect to those of your own. You don't need me to tell you that this is breathtakingly pretty music, because it obviously is. I'm pretty sure that you can figure that out for yourself. What I want to talk about is something a little bit different. I noticed eventually that the EP doesn't begin peaceful. There's this impending sense of your worries eventually catching up to you that lingers in the background beyond the very pretty synth melody. The final track, At Violet's Tree, is a bittersweet one with the same pretty sound palette as before, but with an ominous bit-crushing effect that scrapes against everything else, and a melody that sounds like a worrisome descent into something. The track does end with a very affirming and reassuring piano melody to imply that everything is going to be okay, but having the EP bookended by two bittersweet songs has a differing effect on the flow of the track listing. Meanwhile, the three tracks in between are heavenly and reflective, but not before you hear this splash sound effect. My theory is that the two outer tracks represent the anxieties of reality, the unfolding realizations of approaching adulthood and weightier responsibility, while the middle section represents a blissful escape, or the time during adolescence that you have the freedom of imagination on your side. I think that's what makes Shye's EP so fantastic to me. It manages to create an imaginative world within the brief moments that it has before the bubble is popped. It's hard to find exact relics that'll whiz me back to the past in a flash. Maybe Mallow Puffs, or Lego Racers, or the song Little Wonders by Rob Thomas of Matchbox 20 from the Meet the Robinsons soundtrack. Yo, what a classic! Our lives are made in these small hours, these little wonders, these twisted turns of